world is full of injustices. Sometimes when we face all kinds of problems and it seems like we're abandoned, we wonder where God is and if He really can defend us and take care of us. This is the story of a native believer here on the island of Occidental Mindoro and how God defended him in a situation where he faced injustice. Leandro was led to faith through a Taubuid missionary that I trained. One day, he and his family were eating supper. Suddenly, the door burst open and a bunch of soldiers came in. Leandro was shocked and scared, and so he pushed his wife and his kids to the side, stood up to face the soldiers, and as he did, the soldiers came in and they said, "We know that you're a spy. We know that you've been telling our enemies where we are." And Leandro said, "I'm not a spy, I promise you. Long before your people came to our island, long before your enemies up in the mountains came to our island, we natives, we indigenous peoples here on this island lived here in peace. We don't want to have anything to do with your fight. We're not part of your team. We're not informing on them either. We just want to live our peaceful life farming here on the land." But the soldiers wouldn't listen to him. The soldiers said, "We know you're a spy. We're going to take you to our camp and we're going to interrogate you." And Leandro knew what that meant because a number of his people had been captured by the army and taken to their camp to be interrogated and had never returned again. The soldiers grabbed him and they started to pull him out of the door. And as they did, he shouted, "God is my witness." As the words left his mouth, all of the soldiers collapsed on the ground, paralyzed. They turned white, realizing what was happening, and they were shocked and scared. And it took a minute for Leandro too to realize what was going on. When he finally figured out what was going on, rather than just running away, Leandro took the opportunity to start preaching to them. He started telling them about Jesus and telling them about Jesus' love and about how Jesus takes care of his children. He tried to lead them to faith in Jesus. And when he had said everything that he had to say, he knelt down and he said, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray that God will heal you and bring your strength back again. But when I do, and when God gives you your strength back again, remember that I was tried in a higher court than yours, and I was proven innocent by God himself. And so he knelt down there and he started praying for those soldiers. And as he prayed, God answered his prayer. Their strength came back to them. They stood up again, and quietly, without saying a single word, they just filed out and left and never came back to harass Leandro again. Friends, again, many times in this world, we face situations that seem unfair, that seem unjust. But remember that God has promised, and He is faithful to His promise. He'll take care of us, and He'll defend us. He will give us true justice. Sometimes we may have to wait until the other side before we receive that justice. Other times we see Him dramatically stepping in now, like in Leandro's case. But God's promise is sure that He will take care of us and that He will defend us. Some of you who are watching this may have heard God's call on your heart to be a missionary. Maybe you haven't yet answered the call because you're afraid. Maybe you're not sure if you really can live the life of a missionary. You've heard stories of how dangerous it can be in other places and in other countries. May this story be a reminder that wherever we go, whatever situation we find ourselves in, when we follow God's call to be faithful to Him and to be a witness to Him, God is with us. God will protect us, and God will work through us to bring people to faith. So don't let anything stand in between you and God's call to be a missionary.